system must be reformed, and investment is needed in medical infrastructure so that such tragedy never happens again, President Klaus Johannes and Prime Minister Florin Câțu have said. The Social Democrats in the opposition say it is outrageous that the government has done nothing to prevent such tragic events. After last year, the fire at the ICU of the emergency hospital in Piatra Neamț killed 10 patients. A second batch of over 21,000 doses of Moderna vaccine were delivered to Romania on Saturday, according to the Committee for the Coordination of Activities on Vaccination against COVID-19. The doses will be distributed to vaccination centers across the country. Romania currently uses the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Authorities say that the vaccines are similar and their efficiency rate is quite the same, 95% for Pfizer and 94.1% for Moderna. Both are based on the DRM messenger technology. According to Health Minister Vlad Voiculescu, Romania has fewer doses than needed, for which reason some categories of people have been rescheduled for the first dose of the vaccine. Almost 650,000 people have been vaccinated in Romania so far. Another 2,700 new infections were reported in Romania on Saturday out of 31,000 tests, and 68 people died. Romania has made important progress in the process of accession to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and continues to count on the support of France, Finance Minister Alexandru Nazare has said. On Friday, in a conference call with his French counterpart, he discussed about perspectives for the European economy in 2021. The French official has accepted the invitation of Minister Nazare to pay a working visit to Bucharest when the epidemiological situation allows it. The European Medicines Agency on Friday approved the anti-COVID-19 vaccine produced by the British-Swedish company AstraZeneca, the third vaccine green-lighted for use in the European Union. The vaccine was approved for people over the age of 18. The company has been at the center of a dispute over the speed of supplies, which disrupted national vaccination campaigns in a number of counties. In order to make sure that vaccines are distributed in keeping with the contract, the EU has decided to introduce a control mechanism of exports for the vaccines produced in the member states. On the other hand, a number of European countries, such as France, Germany, and the Czech Republic, have announced tougher restrictions at their borders over worries generated by the new variants of COVID-19. Germany has banned, as of Saturday, the access to its territory of most visitors from the UK, Ireland, Portugal, Brazil, and South Africa. Also starting on Saturday, the Czech authorities do not allow unessential access to its soil, with a few exceptions, while France closes its borders for non-EU citizens and require the EU citizens to present a negative COVID test upon entering the country. The Romanian Ministry of Justice on Friday selected 6 candidates for the position of delegate prosecutor in Romania of the European Public Prosecutor's Office. The candidates are Dana Manuela Ana, Camelia Elena Grecu, Constantin Irina, and Jean Nicolae Uncheșelu, all 4 from the National Anti-Corruption Directorate, Dana Cristina Bunea from the Prosecutor's Office with the High Court of Cassation and Justice, and Florin Bogdan Munteanu from the Court of Iași, northeastern Romania. The prosecutors will be working for the European Public Prosecutor's Office in their home countries and will have the same responsibilities as national prosecutors in terms of investigations, criminal actions and prosecution. The EPPO will also investigate fraud and other crimes infringing on the EU's financial interests. And that was the news.
Coming up next, The Week in Review.
Hello and welcome to The Week in Review with me, Călin Coțoiu. Romanian authorities hope that they would receive the 3 million doses of COVID vaccine they contracted for this period by the end of May, and that by September, 10 million Romanians would be immunized. Until then, however, they decided that over 35,000 people in jobs considered essential, scheduled these days to be vaccinated with the initial dose, would be rescheduled 10 days after their initial appointment. This happens because last week Romania received only half of the vaccine doses scheduled to be delivered, and priority in this second stage of immunization has to be given to the sick and the elderly. At the same time, the Health Ministry believes that changes are needed regarding the indices of reports with novel coronavirus infections and the volume of daily tests. Undersecretary Andreea Moldovan said that right now, official data does not reflect the situation in Romania because testing is less than necessary and many positive tests are not being reported. The physician said that, considering that in all European countries, and not only, the number of COVID cases is going up alarmingly, causing additional restrictions, the authorities in Romania are obligated to keep their guard up and know exactly what to do. According to the latest statistics, Romania is one of the top countries in terms of vaccination, both in Europe and the world. At the same time, this week, Bucharest lifted a number of restrictions after registering a rate of incidence of 3 per 1,000 for several days in a row. As a result, restaurants, bars, movie theaters, and gaming halls will stay open as long as this rate is stable. As for the reopening of schools on February the 8th for the second semester, the authorities said they would issue a decision next week, depending on the epidemic situation. Unfortunately, the week concludes with another fire in a Romanian hospital after the November conflagration in an emergency hospital in Piatra Neamț in the northeast, which left 10 people dead. Early Friday morning, 4 rooms in the Matei Balș Infectious Disease Hospital in Bucharest, treating COVID patients, were consumed by flames. 5 people are reported dead so far, and over 100 patients were evacuated, being transferred to other medical facilities in the capital city. This year's draft budget will be accompanied by an ample package of reforms in 3 areas: state employee wages, the pension system, and fiscal management. There are drafts that have to be finalized in the next 2 weeks, which will be the basis for the state budget not only this year, but the next one too, said Liberal Prime Minister Florin Câțu. We have to go to Parliament with the whole package, not just the budget. We are also talking about the reform package that is the basis for this budget, and which will have an impact on the Romanian economy on medium and long term, but an impact that will be more visible in 2022. That was Prime Minister Florin Câțu. The head of the executive recalled that the budget targets stay the same, a deficit of around 7% of the GDP, and supporting an economic relaunch. Last year, the budget deficit was about 10%, which was almost double that in 2019. The opposition Social Democrats have issued their own draft budget, which they say is focused on health, education, relaunching the economy, and raising the living standard. Here is Social Democratic Chairman Marcel Ciolacu.
This
is the first time in 30 years that the opposition party comes up with an alternative draft budget. We believe that the citizens have to know the alternative we bring to the austerity proposed by the ruling party. Today we submit to public debate concrete solutions to increase the living standard of citizens. This week, protests were held in Bucharest and other Romanian cities. The members of the Sanitary Solidarity Federation held rallies and picketed several ministries, angry that the government doesn't increase salaries for all healthcare employees after a year when they were on the front lines of the fight against COVID-19. Unionists with Cartel Alpha also continued union action started on January the 14th, angry at small wages and pensions. Police employees also took to the streets in several cities, criticizing the government for freezing salaries and threatened work stoppage. On top of that, there were protests by retirees who believed that 3% pension adjustments was a humiliation. On the other side, the Labour Ministry had initiated a process of recalculating pensions. The last recalculation of pensions in Romania was between 2005 and 2010. You have been listening to The Week in Review.
You are listening to Radio Romania International.
Focus on Romania. World of Culture.
Welcome to World of Culture with me, Eugen Nasta. Romanian theatre has been seriously affected by the restrictions imposed during the pandemic, so much so that it had to find alternative ways to reach out to the usual stage audience. Performances could no longer be held outdoors, so the online environment was the support that enabled theatre lovers to watch the actors on stage. The day of September the 21st, 2020, at 20:30 Bucharest time, it was another turning point in Romanian theatre's activity. We're speaking about the moment of the UNITER Gala's 28th edition. Initially scheduled for the spring of 2020, the event was postponed until the autumn equinox. In 2020, the UNITER Gala was held in the southern Romanian city of Craiova. It marked 170 years since the Marin Sorescu Theatre had been founded in Craiova and was venued by the outdoor summer theatre in Craiova's Nicolae Romanescu Park. Radio Romania's Culture Channel offered a live broadcast of the gala, which could also be followed online at www.tvr.ro and www.uniter.ro. The main organizer and initiator of the gala was the National Union of Romanian Theatres, UNITER. It is a professional, apolitical, non-governmental and non-profit organization which was set up through the Free Association of Creators in the field of Romanian theatre. It was established in February 1990. So in 2020, UNITER celebrated its 3 decades of existence. Since September the 10th, 2020, UNITER has launched the video promotion of the artists who are nominated for the awards. Of course, several nominations were made based on the previous year's achievements, according to the regulations. Since September the 14th, all viewers could support their favorites, casting their vote on www.uniter.ro. It may have been the venue of the event, or the restrictions that have been imposed in 2020. In other words, it was the triumph of creativity over fear. All that put together bestowed a special power on the UNITER Gala in 2020. With the details on that, here is theatre critic and UNITER member Oana Crista Grigorescu.
Galele UNITER au reușit să schimbe ceva, să disloce.
The UNITER galas have succeeded to change something. They have rooted out that kind of conservatism in the way the gala has been organized in the last 20 years. Everybody sensed, first of all, a reshuffle of the format, which occurred not only due to the fact that the event was staged on outdoor premises in Craiova. I believe all that was possible, especially because of the trust the organizers put in the 2 producers of the gala, stage director Bobby Pricop and stage designer Irina Moscu. An entire team backed them, and everybody sensed the life-giving wind for this event. And we also fed ourselves with a dose of optimism provided by the way the gala unfolded, concisely and in a clean manner. There was also something else, maybe the most important aspect. Some of the welcome speeches of the awardees tackled an important issue. In Romanian culture, at least formally, but mainly from an organizing point of view, there is a rift between the independent artists and the artists coming from subsidized institutions. The rift is false, and the welcome speeches at the UNITER Gala focused on the very specific idea whereby it was about time we found administrative solutions to support the deserving independent artists. That should be done in such a way as to acknowledge their contribution to the diversity of theatre stage. At the end of the gala, the president of UNITER and the manager of the National Theatre in Bucharest, Ion Karamitru, pledged that solutions would be found to support independent theatre. And that is a point of strategic importance. It is a type of cultural policy UNITER vowed to implement henceforth. The 30th edition of the National Theatre Festival in Bucharest was held over November the 22nd and the 29th. The event was also a premiere. We followed it online at fnete.ro. The three personalities who stage directed and provided the selection of the program had a clear-cut intention, that of setting up a dialogue between the aesthetics of yesterday's creators and the present-day artistic quest. Radio Romania is one of the event's traditional partners, hence the label of the festival's special section, FNT on Air. One of the event's three driving forces was provided by Maria Zărnescu, an associate professor with Bucharest University of Drama and Film. Speaking about the fnt.ro site, Maria Zărnescu told Radio Romania International the following. Each of the posted events will be there for 48 hours. They will be available for revisiting if somebody so wishes. It is, so to speak, crowded, since we wanted to revisit the festival's past, its 3 decades, that is, and we sometimes discovered remarkable acting recitals, and that in close connection with the actor-stage director-playwright three-way relationship. When the stuff we discovered was shorter, we put all that together in a special section labeled The Great Actor's Art. The section lays emphasis on actors who are very popular with the Romanian audience, yet all the creators involved in the artistic pursuit are no less important. There were, of course, noteworthy international guest performances presented as part of the FNT, Festivalul Național de Teatru, the National Theatre Festival in Bucharest. Added to that were the pandemic productions such as Zoom Birthday Party, based on a text by Saviana Stănescu, directed by Beth Miles from the United States of America, or Pool No Water by Mark Ravenhill, a project carried by Radu Nica, Andu Dumitrescu and Vlaicu Golcea. And that was World of Culture.
Coming up next on Radio Romania International, Culture and Nature.
Welcome, I'm Mihaela Ignatescu. Until the end of May, a new exhibition welcomes the visitors, real or virtual, of the National Museum of History of Romania. The exhibition is titled Fragment the Experience of Restoration, an invitation to discover the secrets behind a collector's item in a museum, a foray into the fascinating and delicate world of restoration. We talked about this unique proposal for the public with one of the members of the Metal Restoration Laboratory of the museum, the coordinator of the exhibition team, Bogdan Dumitru Mladin. The exhibition Fragment, the Restoration Experience, presents to the public the restoration profession as it has not been shown before. We wanted the general public to understand what is happening behind the exhibited pieces, and we organized, together with colleagues from the restoration section, an exhibition dedicated to this profession. I say it's a profession because restoration involves, in addition to the craft itself, the manual labor, also knowledge in various fields such as physics, chemistry, biology, and so on. The presentation of this exhibition was very important. We wanted to make it as attractive as possible for the general public and especially for the young. The restoration profession is a very rare one, and so one purpose of this exhibition was also to attract young audiences. The National Museum of History of Romania was founded in 1970 and is the most important archaeological and historical museum in the country. The restoration section is dedicated to the restoration and conservation of organic cultural goods and those made of ceramics and metal. Its main purpose is the long-term protection of artifacts, the preservation of heritage according to the highest standards of research innovation in terms of methods of restoration and promotion of tangible assets. These things can be seen in the exhibition Fragment the Restoration Experience, as restorer Bogdan Mladin told us.
Expoziția este împărțită în două mari zone.
The exhibition is divided into two major areas, one of them being the laboratory area. The restoration section of the National Museum of History of Romania has 6 restoration labs: the metal, wood, ceramics, painting, textiles and old books. We also have the second area of the exhibition where the pieces as such are exhibited. The public will be able to see the entire range of objects. And, as a surprise, we also brought some contemporary artists who made some works of art inspired by the title of the exhibition and the pieces in the museum. We have as a novelty new display systems. We wanted to go a little out of the classic display pattern. To make it easier for the public to understand what restoration means or what the restorer does, we could make a parallel, and it's not wrong at all, with medicine. What a doctor does for the human body, for a person, so do we restorers for objects. We are doctors of objects. The object comes mostly from archaeological sites, from storage facilities or private collections. Each of these objects suffers from a disease, and for each of them we have a particular treatment. We have objects from paintings to cars. We have, for instance, the first car registered in Bucharest. You must have a penchant for beauty, and from here you must develop your passion for other areas in order to understand all the factors that influence the object during its life. In the wood lab we have furniture, in particular icons. We have maps in the book section. At the textile lab, colleagues brought to the exhibition some very important pieces, such as the liturgical banner of Stephen the Great, a special piece restored in our museum. One of the gala dresses of Queen Mary. In the painting laboratory we have paintings signed by Lucian, by Tonica, very, very important paintings from the museum's collection. Those interested in the exhibition should know that there is also a site, restaurărimnrei.ro, and also a virtual tour. You have been listening to Culture and Nature.
And with that, our broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and North America, the East Coast, has come to an end. You can listen to our next program for Western Europe at 23 hours UTC on 7220 kHz in analog system and on 6040 kHz in DRM system. Our listeners in North America, the East Coast, can listen to us at 1 hours UTC on 6130 kHz and 7325 kHz. We can also be heard on the internet at www.rri.ro, Channel 1. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write an email at engl@rri.ro. Goodbye.